Everybody in this room wears a white cowboy hat. What do I mean by that? What does that mean? You're a good guy. You use force if you have to, or you're forced to use it for good. Mike doesn't want to use force. He doesn't want to fight with anybody, right? So if he has to use force, he's going to use how much? Just enough to solve the problem and likely try and get away. But if bad guys use it, what are they using it for? It's bad news. It's bad news. Here in the state of Nevada, we're allowed, law enforcement agencies, we're allowed to use vascular control holds. So as a police officer, my arm around someone's neck 24 times on the street. We take and put bad guys to sleep. And when we were done, they were in handcuffs, no injuries on them, no injuries on me. It was great, right? 8-year-olds choke each other out in jiu-jitsu class all the time. No one dies. So good guy, white cowboy hat, puts an arm around someone's neck and uses a vascular control hold, not deadly force. Shane, what happens if you're in a fight, somebody it's a bad guy and he puts his arm around your neck? What's that? That's deadly force. Because he's not doing it to get you to submit. He's doing it for a different reason. He's doing it to what? Cause death or substantial bodily harm. So it's important, one, that we always remain on the side of right as opposed to the side of wrong. Does everybody understand that? Okay? We don't switch cowboy hats. We don't put that black cowboy hat on. We don't do it. All right, so we talked about this crimes thing. 2 kinds of crimes. What are they? Crimes against property and crimes against persons. On the notion of this property crime thing, this property crime, there is no property that we are legally justified using deadly force over. There isn't any, right? There's no, no, it's a really valuable collection of things. So can I use deadly force? Absolutely not. Crimes against persons is different, okay? Where persons are involved, where fear of injury is involved to people, that's different. I'll give you guys an example. Who's ever heard of an armored car getting robbed, right? A car full of money, okay? Can those guys use deadly force to protect the money? No. But if the guys who come to rob the car point guns at people, that's totally different. And the money's irrelevant. You guys understand that? So don't look and say, this old collection of antique plates that belong to my grandma and I can use deadly force to protect it. It's not about the plates. Yes, sir.
Question. You remember the riots in Los Angeles?
Yes, sir.
And question, there in Koreatown, my understanding, there were men with rifles protecting their property.
Yes.
In a riot situation.
Yes.
So if they're throwing fire bombs and stuff like that into my property, and I'm on top of the roof of the building.
Great question. And oftentimes we get asked this question about what? About arson, right? People will say, well, what about arson? I mean, is arson a property crime, right? So let's explore that. So we go back to that A to B to C, right? Am I allowed to protect my property? Yes. Am I allowed to use deadly force to protect my property? Not my property, but if the guys coming to take that property are going to what? Firebomb my liquor store, and I'm in the liquor store, is this a property crime now, or is it hazard to those occupants of the store? Does that make sense?
Right.
The liquor and the items in the store are irrelevant.
Right.
What matters right now is the danger to the people that are in the building. So if we had those same guys, and instead of fire bombs, they had nothing. They were just empty-handed. And they walked up and they just kicked the door in and walked inside and said, I'm gonna help myself to some liquor and take everything that you have. No, we're not at a deadly force scenario. But the moment that firebomb gets plugged into the equation, who's at risk? Who's at risk? First of all, everybody who's in the building, okay? Who else is at risk? Are firefighters gonna respond? Could they get burned or die? Death or substantial bodily harm. What can fire do? Can fire go from building to building to building? So technically, you're putting an entire neighborhood at risk here. So it is something involving people. Does that make sense? Yeah. Arson is not about the structure. It's about all of the hazard and the risk to everybody in the periphery, right? It's really no different than arson's no different than pointing a gun at somebody. No different at all. Great question. Let's talk about this this weird little phrase right here that says 4-story townhouses in Texas in October, because we're into home invasion. We really get into this question right now. We're also into that should versus could question. So here is your house. This is you. And there's your bed right there. 4 stories, and you live all alone, all by your lonesome, okay? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, and you hear a loud noise downstairs. You hear a boom crash. And you get up, and you reach over your cell phone. I don't need my phone. And you grab your handgun and your flashlight. You get up, and you do a little bit of light stretching, right? And then you walk down these stairs. There's an alarm panel on the wall. I don't need that. And then you walk down these stairs here, and there's a little end table that's got a little telephone on it. And you walk down these stairs here, and you walk, oh, look at this. These 2 idiots are in my living room, and they're stealing my sick-ass plasma screen off the wall. Okay? You come up and you shoot, kill both of them right there. But 3 o'clock in the morning, and they damage that front door getting in. They forcibly enter the house. Good shoot or bad shoot? What do you guys think? What do you think?
You had 3 opportunities to retreat and or stay in your original.
Okay. Do I have to take advantage of those opportunities? Am I required to legally?